Bulkheads part 2 here. If you watched the first video, let me go back to a bulkhead that I made. If I saved it, I don't know that if I did. I think I did this one over here. I don't think I saved it, but that's okay. So let's review what I did, and then I want to tell you how to make partial bulkheads. All right, so first thing would be I'm going to grab, or select is a better way to put it, select these parts around the water base. This is what I did in the last video. All right, make it really quick. Proportional editing is on. I'm going to Alt select this line between the blend and the mesh. S, Z, 0.25 is what I did last time. So we'll do the same thing. Then tab out, select my water base, OPCD tools, bulkhead, add bulkhead. There we go. The water is lower again. So this is where if you want lower water, I would go back to my water base and I would tab into edit mode, use X-ray mode and bring it down. See, if I scroll out, that's how I change my proportional editing amount. The more I scroll out, the more it affects. The less I scroll out, the less it affects. So I brought that down a little bit, tab out, get out X-ray mode, and there you go. All right, so there we go, that's where we're at. Now, let's talk partial bulkheads. So this is the easiest way I know how to do it, and it's using the separate function and the duplicate function in Blender. So as we mentioned before, like this is created, it basically takes the edge of your mesh and creates this curve off of that and then plants your bulkhead based on that curve. So if I wanted to make a partial one, the best thing is to mimic the mesh and then do the same process. So if I were doing a partial one, let's say that there is a bulkhead just in this one little area. Of course, our water is not, but they do a different place. Let's do it right here. This would be a good spot. Let's say on this water body here, there is a bulkhead just from the fairway across to the bunker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose where I want it. And with this, I would definitely use the rough. I would tab in, I would press C to circle select so that I can start dragging this with my mouse clicked, and I can choose the edge that I want to use for the bulkhead. So let's say that's the space I wanted. Now I want to create a mesh with just these, so to speak, an object that the function in my tools will read. So all I have to do, and this is super easy, is you press Shift D. When you press Shift D, you see that? It duplicates what you've selected. Now I don't really want to move it, okay? What I like to do is I'll press the Z button so it moves just up and down, and I will move it up just a little bit so that I can find it easier in a minute. And then I press click, and there you have it. Now currently this is connected to your other mesh, the rough mesh that you've selected. So I want to separate this to make it its own mesh by pressing P. Then I separate it by selection. Now it's its own mesh. I'm going to tab to go out of edit mode, and now you'll see you got your rough here, and then you have this other one that you've created here. So now all I have to do, so easy, is I click on that one, use my tools, add the bulkhead to the selected. It is turned around right now, so I need to click on it and flip it, and you got it. Now the thing about this, and the reason I like this is, and you can really do this with any bulkhead, is now if I go knowing that this is based off this curve here, now I can actually manipulate this curve and change this bulkhead. I'm not sure why. Is it going underneath? But I can grab, like, select one of these vertices on the curve, and I can where is my I'm going to move this down more. See, I really wish this was a little bit further. So I'm going to press G to grab it. This is where I may want, I probably could leave that on, press G to grab it. Now, if I press Z, as I mentioned before, it'll keep it on the Z axis. But I want it to do everything but Z. So I'm gonna actually press Shift Z and it will allow it to go on, it'll do everything but the Z axis. And with that, I can just kind of start moving around the curve just a little bit if I want to. G, Shift G, and I can update what it looks like. Now this one is not, for some reason, extending this curve out. There it goes. See, that is starting to, now it's extending it out. And really, I can, you can delete vertices. You can do anything you want to with this curve. And it will change your bulkhead. This is always good because sometimes with these partial ones, like it'll have, see, in between, let's take off proportional editing. Sometimes between, or on these partial bulkheads, the bulkhead may, kind of work its way back into the ground, or into the like out of the water and into. So you can even do that there if you wanted to. You can add between, if you select two vertices, you can do the segments and subdivide. You can add more vertices in. You basically can move it around and kind of just manipulate it however you want to. Notice the whole thing is a little bit wonky. I could have done what I did earlier with a mesh and smoothed it, but I can also grab this one, click on, excuse me, control point smooth, and I can even smooth it here. What I would do usually here is, if I notice that, you can find the ones that are kind of off a little bit, and you can smooth it, and you can make it look however you want to. Proportional editing on, it can do a little more of everything. But that's a way that you can create a partial bulkhead. Let's say that this one kind of moves in. So I shift and then control Z so it doesn't change on the Z axis. Let's say it goes in like that. And that's an easy way to do a partial bulkhead. So let me do partial bulkhead. Let me just do one more somewhere. Let's go over here to this guy. You can, and you don't have to do it on the rough. So I just did Kiowa Ocean course, and I had a little bit of rough, but it actually goes all the way like to the fairway. And then this is all down. So you can do the same. You can basically do this anywhere. Like if there was actually a bulkhead like right here, which you wouldn't spline it this way, but if there was a bulkhead right here, let's say for some reason, I can choose and select the vertices I want, press Shift S. Oop, I don't want to separate, I want to duplicate. Sorry, that's the problem. Not Shift S, Shift D. You can see sometimes I forget what I'm doing. Shift D duplicates it. Remember, I press the Z just to bring it up just a little bit so I can see it. Just press P, and then by selection, now it's its own mesh or object there. Now OPCD tools, add bulkhead to selected. It's turned the wrong way, flip it. So let's say it did look like that. And if it did look like that, you'd want these to be dropped down. So again, you can select into X-ray mode. You can choose these that are maybe lower. Let's put on proportional editing, GZ. And that's going to go lower. Let's bring this, start to bring them down a little bit to make it actually look realistic there. This can be a non-exact thing when you start using proportional editing and manipulating your mesh. But you can also, that smooth idea is something you can do around here too, because you can grab or select a bunch of different ones, and you can press your SZ, bring it in, and it will start to smooth them a little bit as well there, like that. And so now you've created this little partial bulkhead that doesn't exist but could exist. Same thing there. So easy to do. Let's say there's a small little bulkhead just on this little spot right here. Selected them, Shift D. I press the Z button just to bring it up just a tad so I can see it. P to separate it by selection. Tab out, you got your rough mesh, you got what you just made. You add your bulkhead in. You have to flip it if it's not looking right, and you made it. You can always find at the top of your hierarchy, you can find the bulkheads. The curve is what you want to manipulate to change it. Find the curve, press tab to go back into edit mode. I can change it the way it looks. I can move it around. I can smooth them out if needed. Didn't smooth it much. But I can also smooth it this way by just moving around with proportional editing. Say it's actually supposed to be a little bit longer. Let's do that. Excuse me. Say it's supposed to be a little bit longer. And let's say the bottom one goes down. You can just you can change how it looks. One last thing to mention is when you do start manipulating some of the meshes, for example, on this one, I just noticed this a second ago, so I want to go to it, that when you start moving, especially like the rough, like I moved this down and used proportional editing and only had that selected, what can happen, and it does happen, so this is something you'll need to know how to fix, is you will get some breakage of mesh between your meshes like this. This isn't that incredibly difficult to fix, because what you can do is you can use this snap tool right here, this magnet, and you want to move this drop down to vertex. This will snap vertices back together. Usually when I'm doing this, I'm watching closely at all times to make sure meshes stay together, and if they don't, I have to fix them right away or it can get out of hand. So easily to do is there, you already know there's there's a vertex here on this blend. They all match up, and so what I'll do is I'll select the vertex where it's broken, and I will GZ and bring it up, and it will snap if you have this done. So I will select my vertex, I will kind of move to where it is, press GZ, keep it up and down, and it will start to do that. Now we got another spot here. This is where X-ray mode is good if you need it. You can kind of see below, but you actually can sneak in here and see it. So I probably need to do the same thing here, GZ, and there you go, it snapped to it. And now that's gonna be good. I'll notice X-ray mode, this one, I don't wanna snap it, but I wanna bring it up just a little bit to make it a little smoother out here. And then it looks pretty nice. And what you could really do, see, this is higher because I brought up my my curve a little bit, if you remember. So if I go back to the curve and just bring it back down, kind of where it would actually sit. And remember, since this is following the curve, if this, let's say this kind of falls back into the ground, I can even select this one, GZ, and bring it back so it actually kind of it comes up and then it goes down. So you can just do different things. Same thing here, this is actually already kind of doing that, but GZ, just like that. And when you get this into Unity, you can also go up and down with it as well. So just like that. That actually looks not too bad. I don't love that that one's down now, so I can bring it right back up.